Predator Badlands has released, and everyone and their mama loves it. Well, everybody except the usual suspects. However, it's another questionable take from Darth Grift that has compelled me to once again fire up the old Microsoft Word program to write this video. Oh, hello there. You're probably wondering why you're in my booth with me right now, and that's because I've been receiving comments like these, accusing me of using an AI voiceover for the sound you hear coming out of my throat right now, which is an insult and a compliment at the same time. It's an insult because nobody likes AI, and it's a compliment because you're essentially saying that my voiceover is essentially perfect. Thank you. It is something I've spent nearly a decade and about $30,000 dialing in. You see, I'm an actual voice actor. I have an agent and everything, and some of you have already heard some of my work, and that being the case, I use professional recording equipment. This equipment and sound treatment gives me a, for YouTube at least, unusually polished sound that isn't necessary for a YouTube video but is mandatory for my professional work. And I thought I should address this now before this got even more out of hand, because usually what you see when you're listening to me is this guy, and that's because I'm in here reading a script that I wrote off of an iPad. You don't want to see me doing this the entire time, and it would be even more jarring if you saw what my edits looked like due to me messing up a line, which happens a lot. Like a lot. Anyway, now you know. I am a real person using my real voice. I'm just better at this than a lot of other people, including the drinker.
Life really is a matter of perspective. For example, your boyfriend isn't really a useless, effeminate pussy who makes your skin crawl, he's actually just redefining masculinity.
Bold of you to assume there are women with boyfriends watching your videos, drinker. Or gay men, for that matter. You see, you speak almost exclusively to right-wing incels that couldn't pay women to be with them. One only has to travel over to your neo-Nazi subreddit to see precisely how disgusting your fanbase is towards women. Except Sydney Sweeney for a couple of reasons. Which is funny, because all this right-wing support hasn't exactly translated into box office success, has it? Anyway, as we all know, women generally dislike right-wing men, which is why the male loneliness epidemic is seemingly self-inflicted. What I'm saying is, invest in Lubriderm long-term.
Or in this case, Predator Badlands isn't actually a goofy buddy comedy complete with cute animal sidekicks, an insecure protagonist with daddy issues who has to learn to connect with his emotions, weightless CGI combat scenes and wacky banter from a quirky android co-star that feels more like an aborted Mandalorian script than anything to do with the Predator universe. No, it's actually redefining what a Predator movie should be.
What a completely uncharitable and myopic take on the plot of this film. I mean, saying Deck has daddy issues is an attempt at trivializing an important aspect of Yautja culture that predates this film. Deck in the film is trying to earn his place in his clan while also honoring his brother in the process, and to do that, he needs to bring back a trophy. If he succeeds, he would presumably be taken on a xenomorph hunt and become blooded. The concept of being blooded and unblooded has existed in the comics and novels for decades. The 1994 novel Prey, Aliens vs. Predator by Steve and Stephanie Perry follows the story of Michiko Noguchi, a human, and Yeyinde, a Yautja warrior that is taking young, unblooded Yautja on their first xenomorph hunt so they can earn their blooded rank. The novel literally mentions that. Yeah, see? It's right there. The novel also shows the concept of a human-Yautja alliance, as Yeyinde bloods Michiko after they take down a xenomorph queen, which is why Michiko looks like this. Yeyinde also has thoughts and feelings, because being of a sapient species with the ability to create extremely advanced technology, of course he does. My point is, a lot of what we see in this film is already established lore for the Predators. Hell, the fact that Deck is missing a tusk is also from Yeyinde, as that is what Michiko calls the Predator, broken tusk. It's even literally the same tusk. The title of Drinker's video exposes that he has no true understanding of this franchise and isn't a reliable resource. Disney did not create these concepts, as they have existed long before Disney acquired Fox. Drinker, once again, does not know what he's talking about, yet is speaking as an authority on a topic. And before any of you morons start, I am not suggesting one needs to read a book to understand this movie. I think the movie already explains its themes and plot fairly well. What I am saying is that if you're going to criticize this movie for doing certain things, you might want to actually know if it's breaking its own established lore first, and this information is only a simple Google search away. To suggest any of this is a result of Disney interference is to criticize something that is out of universe, and therefore it is fair game to bring up supplemental material that debunks that very criticism.
Now, I can't say I was exactly bursting with anticipation when I went into this one, partly because the concept of a Predator movie told from the Predator's point of view felt like a fundamental betrayal of the very thing that makes them compelling, their mystique.
Here is the definition of the word mystique. As you can see, this word essentially means something that is mysterious, and after 9 movies, various comic books, and video games, I don't think the Predators and mystique belong in the same sentence. The Predator films have followed a relatively simple formula over the years. Humans find themselves in a situation where they are overmatched technologically and physically, so they have to use their wits to outsmart and outmaneuver an alien whose entire culture is centered on hunting and killing the most dangerous beings in the universe. In other words, these are slasher films, something we have seen many times over the years. Something we haven't seen is a slasher film told from the perspective of the slasher. Alright, In a Violent Nature did it first, and I highly recommend y'all check that out. But my point is, learning about the killer by following the killer is a relatively novel concept, and is part of why this movie works so well. Hell, this has long been a topic of discussion amongst actual Predator fans, as you can see from this Reddit post. Nice call on this one, by the way. I have no idea why the guy that sits here and claims every Marvel movie is the same is upset that a long-running franchise is switching up the formula and breathing new life into that franchise. Oh wait, actually I do.
Partly because those CGI-heavy trailers with the horrible Predator redesign didn't do much to win me over, and partly because of early reviews from intellectual giants like Grace Randolph, who boldly gushed over the film's humanization of the Predator and a possible romantic relationship with a fucking androids.
Drinker is referring to this tweet, which he quote-tweeted. It's very clear that Grace is making a joke here, something Drinker thinks he does whenever he uses this clip. You see, Drinker really dislikes Grace Randolph, and he has been criticizing her for various different reasons. And frankly, I don't give a shit. I think it's fair to criticize someone or something if they continuously do something worth criticizing. But strangely, unlike how they treat me, Drinker's fanboys don't call him obsessed with Grace, or Disney, or Rachel Zegler, or Brie Larson, or Daisy Ridley. I guess it's okay when he retreads the same tired topics over and over, huh? Anyway, as I was saying, it's obvious that Grace is teasing anti-woke losers who we have already established are basically undateable. The joke is that Deck has a woman on his back and their woman is named Righty. Somehow, Drinker took this dig at his fan base as her saying the movie hints at a romance between these two characters. Yes, guys, Will Jordan is fucking stupid. Unsurprisingly, that side of the internet also took Grace's joke at face value, and this caused her to make another tweet, doubling down on her own joke, but this time defending the joke with an actual example, which I think was a mistake on her part. The reason is, this makes the first tweet not look like a dig at anti-woke losers, which it very clearly was. All this did was fuel these morons and give them more rage bait for their dying of thirst channels. Grace, sometimes it's okay to shut the fuck up. What Grace does actually say is the following.
All right, so does Elle Fanning's Thea, a Wayland-Yutani synthetic, change Deck? Yes, she does, but that's what happens in a real relationship, romantic or platonic, where you actually listen and respect each other, making a deep connection. How can you not change each other? Otherwise, one person is just the other person's accessory, and that sucks for the person who's the accessory. By the way, in the beginning, Deck insists that Thea is just a tool, so that makes him feel okay about working with her, even though Predators hunt alone.
So you see, in Grace's actual review, she doesn't say anything about these characters in the movie being in a romantic relationship. She brings up romantic and platonic relationships to state that the dynamic Thea brings to the story is how changes happen between two individuals in real life. She didn't help herself with that follow-up tweet, but she's being mischaracterized by the drinker here, and her video was out way before Will's was, so he should have seen this already. Anyway, Drinker's tweet is also really dumb. Firstly, he refers to Weyland-Yutani synths as robots. It would be far more accurate to refer to them as androids, a type of robot specifically designed to resemble a human being in form and behavior. Just calling them a robot trivializes their role in the stories they appear in. I mean, a car is a type of robot, and most of us refer to them as she and her. He then says that robots don't have genders. They very explicitly do. We call this android he, which is a pronoun that refers to the gender of the android. Trust me, Drinker does this subconsciously himself. I don't have to show you video evidence that he refers to the Terminator as he in his videos. You already know that he does. But I'm going to do it anyway.
Then the Apple Genius drops in, and he's a liquid Terminator who can mimic anything or anyone he touches. Because, what else do we really have at this point?
See? Drinker doesn't even believe in Drinker's bullshit. So why do you?
Stuff like this is why women's fiction should be banned.
What even is this? The concept that a biological being has a romantic relationship with a synthetic being is why women's fiction should be banned? So Blade Runner is women's fiction now? Pretty fucking sure Deckard had a baby with Rachel in that franchise. How about Ex Machina? Or The Creator? Or any of the thousands of science fiction stories where a man falls in love with an android? This is one of the most common tropes in science fiction, so much so it could be called a subgenre. What is this man ever talking about?
Jesus, the amount of glazing this film's been getting on social media would have you believe it's the best thing since the 1987 original. In fact, according to Rotten Tomatoes, it's actually better, and it's not even close.
It's all bullshit. All of it.
Fuck off, Rotten Tomatoes. This is why nobody listens to professional reviewers anymore. Whatever the cost of selling your soul to your corporate overlords, I hope it was worth it, you bunch of dicks.
Way to reveal you don't know how Rotten Tomatoes works in 2025, even though on their website they explicitly tell you the percentage is the amount of people that gave it a positive score.
Welcome to Rotten Tomatoes, home of the famous Tomato Meter rating system for nearly every movie or show. So what is the Tomato Meter, and how can it help you on your quest for the ultimate watch sesh? The Tomato Meter is our exclusive rating system for movies and shows. Each title's Tomato Meter score measures the percentage of positive reviews from professional Tomato Meter approved critics published in everything from newspapers and magazines to top websites, blogs, and podcasts. The Tomato Meter includes opinions from thousands of critics from a wide variety of backgrounds and cultural perspectives. We don't pay any of them and don't write reviews ourselves. If 60% or more of the reviews are positive, it's fresh. Less than 60% of the reviews, it's rotten. And if a title reaches 75% or higher on the Tomato Meter and meets other guidelines, it's certified fresh. Some of the reviews on the Tomato Meter are submitted directly by Tomato Meter approved critics, while others are added by staff curators who determine whether they're generally positive or negative. But what if a review seems to land in the middle? Well, in that case, our team needs to vote. We'll even reach out to critics directly for clarification.
And even if you don't trust the professional critics, this is how the audience has ranked the Predator films. The main difference between the two lists is that the first Predator movie is now in 3rd place instead of 5th place, and Prey is 4th instead of 2nd. Otherwise, critics and audiences agree that Badlands, Killers, and Prey are among the best films in the franchise, and Predator 2 and The Predator are the worst films in the franchise. Regardless, the film we are currently talking about is considered the best film in the franchise, according to the audience score, a metric we all already know you accept. And what are you getting mad at Rotten Tomatoes for anyway? The current score it has is from modern critics pumping its score up due to it now being considered a classic. In its time, the film was shit on by critics. Look at your favorite outlet Variety back in the 80s and how back then they thought Predator's action was a compensation for its tissue-thin plot. How about Michael Wilmington's review back in 1987 for the Los Angeles Times, where he stated Predator has arguably one of the emptiest, feeblest, most derivative scripts ever made as a major studio movie? How about Rita Kempley's review for the Washington Post, where she says the Predator isn't scary and that scarier critters have checked into roach motels? Oh, I can do this all day. Here's a newspaper article by Jack Curry, who states that Predator is a typical Hollywood hybrid of previously successful movies and gave it 1.5 stars. Ouch. Marcia McCready said Arnold looked great, but she would have been better off getting a poster of him in mud than paying $5 for Predator. Yeah, that 64% is starting to look real generous, ain't it? But if your only source is the drinker, you have no idea that Will is lying to you. He's making it seem as if this film's score is the result of modern film critics, when contemporary film critics are the ones that boosted the score to where it is in the first place. Go on, check for yourself. Almost every bad review of Predator on Rotten Tomatoes is a link that takes you to newspaper articles from the 1980s. So much for that talking point.
Anyway, let's talk about this unholy union twixt Predator and Disney, shall we? The movie kicks off on the Predator homeworld, which funnily enough looks almost exactly like the other planet where the bulk of this film takes place. Hats off for the imaginative environmental design, chaps. Anyway, for that reason, I'm gonna call it Generic Alien Planet Number 1, because that's all it is.
That is a blatant lie. The movie begins on Yautja Prime, specifically the part of Yautja Prime that is almost exclusively a desert biome. As far as we know, Yautja Prime has 2 biomes, a lush jungle and a vast desert. Due to this, there are 2 main types of predators, the jungle hunters and the desert hunters. This makes Dek and his brother Desert Yautja, which are different to Jungle Yautja, explaining why Dek looks a little different to predators like the one Dutch faced. In this film, we are only shown the desert area of Yautja Prime. This is important because the planet Dek finds himself for the rest of the movie is a planet with a large variety in its biomes, from a lush jungle to open fields of razor-sharp grass. It could be that because the drinker's clearly using low-quality cam rip footage of the film that he can't tell the difference between the 2 planets, but that's his fault for stealing this film. Either way, the critical drinker is lying to you.
This is also where we meet our main man, Dek, but henceforth I shall name him Lumpy because it gives me literally seconds of amusement and I need to take whatever wins I can get from this one. Anyway, Lumpy is preparing to go on his first hunt so that he can become a fully fledged member of his clan, but his toxically masculine dad has other ideas and instead orders his brother to kill him because he's the runt of the litter. The situation soon goes the way of your average Scottish wedding and Lumpy ends up crash landing on Generic Alien Planet Number 2, where his mission is to find and kill the Kalisk, the most powerful and dangerous animal on the planet, and return victorious to Generic Alien Planet Number 1 so that he can take revenge on his toxically masculine dads. I mean, call me crazy here, but why not just go straight back there and kill him anyway? I mean, it's not like he's gonna have you back even if you do succeed. Whatever. Let's just go with it so that the rest of the plot can happen.
This sounds suspiciously like the drinker didn't actually watch the film. Dek's purpose is to be accepted by his clan. Simply killing his father doesn't mean the clan will accept him. He needs to follow the protocols of his race and do the thing that will deem him worthy. You say this as if others within the clan aren't close to as tough as his father. If he offs his dad, but another tough member of the clan assumes his father's role, then he'll have to kill him, and so on. The goal is to become a valuable member of his society, something your audience knows nothing about.
So Generic Alien Planet Number 2 turns out to be a hostile, danger-filled hellhole where literally every animal, plant and object wants to kill you. It's a bit like Australia, except the locals are more friendly. Anyway, this is where Lumpy runs into quirky android lady who was part of a Weyland-Yutani expedition to the planet until her team got attacked and torn apart, literally, by the Kalisk. Oh yeah, and she can speak fluent Predator. How? Don't know.
Okay, now it really sounds like you didn't watch the movie. They literally tell you how and why she can speak Yautja.
Yautja! Yautja, Rengayonda! Is this better? Universal translation. You hear Yautja, others hear their language. Predatory organisms are my specific area of expertise. I've studied Yautja extensively. Here, ask me anything. I bet I have the answer.
You all are going to have to forgive me for using the same cam rip that Drinker is using. It's the only way that I can prove this man is lying. I actually have evidence up on my Twitter that I paid for the film and watched it legally. I'm only doing this to provide evidence.
She makes some vague reference to other predators visiting the planet and talking to her, which makes no sense really because Lumpy's brother specifically said they don't go there because they're all afraid of the Kalisk.
Incorrect buzzer noises. First of all, she didn't say or imply that she spoke to other Yautja. As you saw in the footage I provided, she specifically had to turn on her Yautja-specific translator after trying to communicate a few times, which she wouldn't had to have done if she'd been communicating with other predators already. Second, how would the predators be afraid of something they've never actually encountered, Will? Deck's brother only says that he can't allow Deck to go to Guinea, not that no other Yautja ever goes there. I swear, you should donate your body to science. They're sure to find your brain has worse CTE than Antonio Brown.
Also, what are the chances that they'd land right in the very location where she just so happens to be and not just immediately kill her? Matter of fact, what are the odds that Lumpy would just so happen to run into her as well when he could have landed literally anywhere on the whole planet? This was all very lucky, wasn't it?
What is this weird CinemaSins-like question, Will? If your aunt had a dick, she'd be your uncle. Why are we playing the convenience game when literally every single thing to ever happen was convenient for this specific reality to exist? Say your mom tripped and broke her tailbone just before she originally happened to meet your father. Then they missed their fateful encounter, you are no longer born, and this video doesn't exist. This is not real film criticism, and I need you people to understand this. You don't criticize a film for what didn't, could have, or what you wanted to happen. You criticize a film for what did happen. You can play this game with every single movie in history. You like Terminator 2, Will. Why did the T-800 not just go slightly back in time and prevent the T-1000 from ever going into the past by destroying the time machine? Oh, because it's a causal loop, meaning that doing that would prevent them from ever sending the T-800 into the past to destroy the machine in the first place? Well, that would mean Skynet's entire plan was pointless, because if the time travel in that film is a causal loop and everything that was meant to happen had already happened, then sending the T-1000 back in time makes no sense and the film's logic entirely breaks down. You see how I just ruined Terminator 2? Movies aren't meant to be watched this way. If there is an egregious logical error, then sure, criticize away. But this nitpicky
movie didn't do what I think it should have done
form of media discourse is something that needed to die 10 years ago.
Anyway, pretty soon they strike up a deal. Quirky android lady will help him find and kill the Kalisk if he'll take her back to her base camp so that she can be repaired and rescued. And many wacky shenanigans ensue. They're even joined by a cute little alien named Bud who wants to be part of the gang as well. But can they hope to take down the most powerful killing machine in the universe so that he can finally confront his toxically masculine dad? Is Quirky android lady hiding a secret from Lumpy? And what became of her sister Tessa, who also went missing during the expedition? The answer, of course, is who the fuck cares?
About 95% of the audience that has purchased a ticket on Fandango.
Like I said earlier, your ability to enjoy Predator Badlands is all going to depend on your perspective here. If you're somehow able to forget the whole Predator thing and just see this film as a generic sci-fi adventure movie with light-hearted comedy undertones that's clearly been geared towards a younger audience, then there's probably some enjoyment to be had here.
This sounds like someone who has made up their mind before the movie ever came out. Something you would never do, I'm sure. But also someone who is taking a shot at the large majority of people who did enjoy this movie. See, you're doing the same thing you did with Prey. You incessantly bitched about that movie before it released because there was a female protagonist, but when the film dropped, you had no choice but to begrudgingly admit you were bullshitting everyone. I mean, this was your take days before your actual review dropped, where you're very clearly lying to everyone, only to release your video days later with this title. Like, how do you even look in the mirror without recoiling in disgust? Just like with Prey, you're doing a bit where you're trying to gauge the audience temperature before you fully commit to what you actually want to do, which is shit on another Disney product. Just like with Prey, the audience likes this thing, including those in your own audience, so you have to admit the film is good, but in a roundabout way, by saying you'll enjoy this if you're younger, or if you forget this is supposed to be a Predator project. Bullshit. A good film is a good film. If you don't like it, say that and accept that others have a different opinion than you. That's what a real critic does, says his piece irrespective of the audience's opinions. You're trying to cozy up to your audience and tell them what you think they want to hear, like the true grifter that you are. And I can't blame you. Grifting does work, and it's given you a lot of success. The only problem is, I'm up your ass like a colonoscopy, and video by video I'm waking people up to your shenanigans, Will. It's only a matter of time before you're as irrelevant as CinemaSins. Yeah, I did that too.
The visuals are mostly fine. There's fun little action sequences to keep you amused, a likeable underdog protagonist with a clear emotional arc, and a well-worn but still effective central theme of friendship, loyalty, and redemption. That's all very nice, and on that basis, Badlands more or less works as a slightly dumb, undemanding, but reliable sort of movie that doesn't ask too much from its audience. Here's the problem though, it's not a generic sci-fi adventure movie, it's a fucking Predator movie, and that name comes with some pretty important expectations. You don't walk into a Predator movie looking for a quirky buddy adventure with cutesy animals and family drama any more than you'd walk into a Saw movie looking for a romantic comedy. Honestly, go watch the original Predator, then skip straight to this thing and just think about what you've witnessed. The difference in tone, style, and intent is more jarring than taking an F1 car to 200 miles per hour and throwing it into reverse.
That's probably because there has been nearly 40 years of filmmaking that has happened between the two films, Will. We've learned that audiences expect a whole lot more than the simplistic concepts that worked on our parents, and more importantly, that the macho action hero schlock of the 80s belongs in the 80s. Otherwise, you're asking for another generic Predator film, and that's how we got The Predator. Besides, your criteria are beyond silly. What 40-year-old franchise feels the same in its latest film as it does its first? Like, what are you even asking for? If all you want is the original Predator, go watch the original Predator. Literally no one is forcing you to watch this. You did that to yourself. You'd already made up your mind to dislike this film 6 months ago, so why did you even go see it? Oh, because shitting on things makes you a lot of money? Well then, you're not really a movie reviewer and you should probably stop pretending you are one. There's no need at this point. You're just a right-wing mouthpiece that hates everything that's not like you.
It's insane to think these two movies even belong to the same franchise. Quippy humor and animal sidekicks absolutely do not belong anywhere near a Predator movie. I mean, why do you think Shane Black's film was such a gigantic clusterfuck? I don't exactly consider Prey a masterpiece either, but it definitely is compared to this thing because at least it took itself and its characters seriously. I can't take any of Badlands seriously because the film itself treats every fight and plot event as a joke.
Once again, Drinker is lying to you. The majority of the film's comedic aspect comes from Thea, the android, and the majority of that is front-loaded in her introduction, which is a film technique meant to contrast her against the extremely serious and violent young Yautja. The beginning of this film, which is roughly the first 22 minutes, shows Dek nearly being killed by his brother in a duel, his father trying to force his brother to kill him, and his brother refusing to do so and getting dismembered and beheaded for his defiance. Then Dek crash lands on a planet where literally everything is trying to kill him, even the grass. None of this is played for comedy, and it's almost non-stop Predator action up until the android appears. The animal sidekick Drinker is talking about is one of the most ruthless and dangerous creatures in the film. So yes, while the film has these moments of levity, the way Drinker describes them is as if they overpower the film, and they do not. This movie has more Predator action than the original Predator film, and that's because this Yautja has a chip on his shoulder and is in the business of proving himself at all times, which makes him one of the hardest Predators to ever do it. If you're looking for that macho bullshit Drinker is talking about from the first movie, yeah, this movie has that. That's why every single non-grifting movie critic is telling you this is a good movie.
Yeah, the movie was good. And I'm surprised to be saying that, because I went into this movie a little Scrooge-esque, a little bah humbugging, because from the first trailer, I thought, like, yeah, this could be entertaining, but, the last big screen Predator film, Predator 2018, was unbelievably horrible. That was complete dog shit.
And that would be a good time, no alcohol required.
I can't say anything more. Like, from a Predator fan's perspective, from somebody that just wanted to see these characters like Predators treated as actual characters and not just monsters, which has always been what's made them interesting. It feels like the filmmaking process behind this, they got it. I just had a great time with it. The music, dude. The movie has an identity. Like, they have these chanting themes and shit. My God, man. It was great. I don't think I could say, I want to go see it again.
Hell, even grifters are telling you this is a good movie.
I enjoyed myself. I'm a happy Predator franchise fan. 4 out of 5. Woo!
Message!
And don't even get me started on Lumpy's creature design. Like, how the fuck does a movie from 1987 look better than a $100 million Disney project with cutting-edge special effects? How have we gone so far backwards?
Dek appears different than Jungle Hunter for a few different reasons. Firstly, Jungle Hunter is a jungle Yautja, who is a member of a clan from a different part of Yautja Prime. Think of this in terms of dog breeds. One is a Shiba Inu, the other is a Husky. They look very similar, but different, and that's because they're from different parts of the planet and bred for different purposes. Dek is a desert Yautja from a different clan. On top of that, Dek is a runt, and that's why his father wanted to kill him, because being a runt made his father's lineage appear weak. Despite still being taller than most men, Dek is tiny compared to his own brother, who is then slightly smaller than their father. And their father looks like this. Now, I don't know why you've decided to specifically pick on the protagonists of the film when clearly they can over-design a predator in the film. The issue is that Dek looks the way he does on purpose, as it is the driver of the story. He's young and a runt. The entire reason he's sent to the other planet is to prove himself. Like, this is literally the plot of the film. The Predator in the original film is an experienced hunter, probably hundreds of years older than Dek. As you can see, Dek's father appears more or less similar to the original film's antagonist and is far more detailed than that character.
I honestly can't emphasize enough how soul-crushingly horrible a downgrade this actually is.
Ironically, Drinker sounds like Dek's father. The entire reason Dek's father hates him is because of how he looks. He is agreeing with the character from the film and the filmmakers themselves, who went for this look on purpose, but is somehow treating this as a negative of the film itself. You can't make this shit up.
Then there's just the stuff that's straight up irritating, the biggest of which is by far quirky android lady.
You didn't think we'd make it out of a Drinker video without some anti-woman rhetoric, did you? Silly rabbit. Also, I thought robots didn't have genders, Will. See how quickly he abandoned that as soon as it became convenient to do so?
Holy fuck, man. The moment she shows up on screen, my urge to ram my fist through the TV rose about 500%.
Notice how he said TV and not theater screen? Yeah, this man stole this film by watching a cam rip, and that's why he thinks Yautja Prime looks like Genna.
Why on earth would you program a synth for a high-priority mission like this to act like some ditzy bimbo with Tourette's?
The movie answers that question too.
Do you know why Mother gave us feelings? So we could understand the creatures on this planet and exploit them.
God damn, did you watch the movie or not?
The more I think about it, the more I realise this is literally a Disneyfied version of the Predator, neutered and toothless, with all the tropes and cliches you expect from a Disney movie. An emotionally vulnerable hero on a quest to take down a monster, a sinister family member working against them, a quirky sidekick for comedy banter, a cute little animal friend for merchandising purposes, and a sequel bait ending to help set up an extended cinematic universe.
The Critical Drinker has discovered the hero's journey, a storytelling structure that is true or partially true for nearly every single adventure story in history. What I'm saying is, he thinks he's describing Disney's structure when the only reason he thinks that is because a lot of Disney movies are adventure stories and thus follow that same structure. I mean, hell, he's roughly describing the first Star Wars movie, an emotionally vulnerable hero on a quest to take down a monster, a sinister family member working against him, a quirky sidekick for comedy banter, and a cute little animal friend for merchandising purposes. The main difference is that Star Wars didn't end on a cliffhanger, but we all know that spawned a cinematic universe, and Predator is already a cinematic universe, so that's a wash.
The realization that just like Alien, this is what the Predator franchise has devolved into. A financial commodity instead of a sharp and violent artistic endeavour, reshaped and remolded into a safe, inoffensive, focus-tested corporate product, ready to be churned out by the truckload until it becomes financially unviable.
Cool. Did you just imply the first Predator was a sharp and violent artistic endeavor? Hey, what do we think of that claim, Jungle Hunter? If the reviews from the 80s didn't clue you in, the first Predator, which I personally liked, was seen as a generic ripoff of Rambo and Arnold's own Commando up until the Yautja appeared, and then it was seen as a ripoff of Alien, but done worse. People didn't even care about the creature. Most of the discussion was about Arnold himself and how, along with Commando, he was doing movies that weren't measuring up to his own Terminator flick, garnering comparisons to what Stallone had accomplished with Rocky and First Blood. Among its contemporaries, it was seen as a generic action flick that had no real staying power and was then followed up by a significantly worse sequel that didn't even feature the original protagonist. Predators was a return to form, but it kind of came and went, and then The Predator was complete ass. Prey, Killers, and Badlands are breathing new life into the franchise, and if this is where we are headed, well then you can keep that boomer bait from the 80s, my guy. And this is coming from a fan of the original Predator.
Well, based on the opening weekend projections, that eventuality might come sooner than expected.
You mean the projections that were completely wrong? Yeah, you might want to stop talking about the box office, critical drinker. You're like 6 for 24, Kobe. You might want to pass the ball to Ron Artest. Anyway, that's all he had for us today. Your bog standard critical drinker video. Lying about things that can be easily verified, misinformation that makes even the dumbest of us squint our eyes in disbelief, and shitting on the female character in a film for no real reason. His summation of this being a good movie but a bad Predator movie is bullshit. It is both a good movie and a good Predator movie, but the problem is you have to actually see it to know that. There is a reason this movie is receiving a ton of positive buzz, and that's simply because it's a good movie. You know, unlike this garbage.